Have you ever heard an urban legend so real it chills your bones? In the heart of the Midwest, 3 terrifying tales prove they're more than myths. A train yard that whispers your name, a storm drain stealing your voice, a school janitor erasing your memories. They happened here. These legends are real, don't ignore them. Stay tuned, or you might not survive the night. Welcome, brave souls, to a journey into the unseen corners of the Midwest. I'm your guide, and tonight, we're uncovering truths that lurk in the shadows. This isn't just entertainment. 3 urban legends rooted in the places you know have left marks on lives here. A train yard with a voice of its own, a park hiding a silent terror, and a school where the past vanishes. They're real, and they're waiting. These stories come from whispers of survivors, documented in old records, etched in stone. Ignoring them could draw their attention to you. So subscribe now, let's face these nightmares together. Our first stop is the Whispering Tracks. Starting at 2 o'clock, prepare yourself. Once you enter this world, there's no turning back. Let's dive in. The Whispering Tracks. The city was a gray sprawl, a Midwestern hub where the skyline loomed just tall enough to make you feel like you were drowning in concrete, but small enough that every barista at the corner coffee shop knew your order. I was 24, a year out of journalism school, clawing my way through the bottom rung at the Daily Herald. My life was a blur of deadlines, lukewarm coffee, and bus rides that smelled of diesel and despair. My apartment was a 5th-floor walk-up on the east side, a shoebox with peeling wallpaper and a view of a flickering streetlight that buzzed like a dying insect. No car, so I memorized the bus schedules, my backpack stuffed with notebooks, pens, and a digital recorder that was my lifeline to stories nobody else wanted. The newsroom was a chaotic symphony of clacking keyboards, shouted arguments, and the faint hum of fluorescent lights. I was the grunt fetching quotes, fact-checking obits, transcribing interviews for the veteran reporters who got the front page. My editor, Carla, was a chain-smoking cynic with a voice like gravel and eyes that could spot a lie from across the room. She'd been at the paper since typewriters were cutting edge, and her desk was a fortress of cigarette butts, red pens, and half-empty mugs. One muggy August evening, as the newsroom emptied out, she tossed me a lead like it was a bone. "Train yard, west side," she said, exhaling a cloud of smoke. "Kids are saying the tracks whisper at night, luring people in. Get me 500 words, something spooky for the Sunday edition. Don't go full X-Files, Elliot." The west side was a 40-minute bus ride, past pawn shops with neon signs, weedy lots where factories once stood, and dive bars that smelled of spilled beer and regret. The train yard was on the city's edge, where asphalt gave way to scraggly fields and the air carried a faint tang of rust. I got there at dusk, the sky streaked with pink and gold, my sneakers crunching on gravel as I stepped off the bus. The yard was a graveyard of steel-rusted boxcars tipped like drunk giants, tracks swallowed by crabgrass, and a platform crumbling under years of neglect. The air was thick, humid, like a storm was brewing, but the clouds were nowhere in sight. My phone was at 47% battery, enough for a few photos, but I cursed myself for not charging it. My recorder hung around my neck, a cheap model that hissed when it ran too long. I wandered past warped rails, scribbling notes about the desolation. Boxcars lean like tombstones. Tracks gleam faintly, like they're still alive. Then I heard a low hum, like voices murmuring just out of earshot, coming from the tracks themselves. Not words, just a cadence, rising and falling, like a distant choir practicing scales. I figured it was wind whistling through the cars or a train miles away, its rumble carried by the rails. I held up my recorder, pressed play, and got nothing but static. I tried again, speaking into it. Elliott Kane, Train Yard, August 12, 2025. Still static. The hum grew louder, pulsing in my ears, and I felt a prickle on my neck, like someone was watching. A kid appeared near a derelict caboose, maybe 14, drowning in an oversized hoodie that hung past his knees. His face was pale under the sodium lights, dark circles framing eyes that didn't blink enough. "You hear the whispers?" he asked, his grin showing too many teeth, uneven and sharp. I nodded, humoring him, thinking he was some local punk playing up the legend. "Name's Jay," he said, unprompted, stepping closer. He pointed to a tunnel where the tracks vanished under a hill, its mouth black as ink, framed by crumbling concrete. "They come from there. The lost ones. They want you to follow." I laughed, jotting it down. "Local kid, Jay. Claims tunnel source of whispers," but his hand shot out, grabbing my sleeve, his fingers cold as refrigerated meat. "Don't give him your name. They'll keep it." His eyes caught the light wrong, glinting like a cat's, and for a second, I swore they were too bright, like polished glass. I yanked my arm free, muttering about deadlines, and he melted into the shadows, his grin lingering in my mind. The hum grew louder as I neared the tunnel, now forming faint syllables, not my name, but close, like someone testing the shape of it. L. Lee, ought. My heart kicked up and I stopped short of the entrance. I'm not an idiot. I'd seen enough horror movies to know tunnels at dusk are a bad idea. I snapped the photo, the flash illuminating graffiti on the concrete. "Stay out and they hear you." I caught the last bus home, a rickety thing that rattled like it was coughing up its soul. The hum followed me, faint, like it was stuck in my skull, whispering in the gaps between the engine's growl. My apartment was a mess. Takeout boxes on the counter, a futon that sagged in the middle, and a window that wouldn't lock properly. I bolted the door, checked it twice, and tried to shake the unease, but the whispering didn't stop. It was louder now in my kitchen, my bedroom, saying my name, Elliott, 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 soft, like a lover's murmur. I checked the windows, the hallway, even under the bed like a kid scared of monsters. Nothing. My phone died when I tried to call Carla, its screen a black mirror reflecting my pale face. I plugged it in, but it wouldn't charge, the cord sparking faintly. The streetlight outside flickered, buzzing louder, and I swore I saw a shadow move across it, too small to be human, pacing like it was waiting. I didn't sleep. I sat on the futon, notebook open, scribbling what I'd heard, my hands shaking. The whispers faded by dawn, but my skin felt tight, like I'd been stretched thin. I dragged myself to the newsroom, eyes burning, and found Carla at her desk, surrounded by cigarette butts and a mug that said "World's Okayest Boss." I told her about the hum, Jay, the tunnel, the whispers in my apartment. She lit another cigarette, squinting through the smoke. "You're spooked by a ghost story? Toughen up, kid." But her eyes darted, and her fingers twitched, like she'd heard something like this before. "Meet me at Rusty's tonight," she said. "We'll check it out together, but don't be a baby about it." Rusty's was a dive bar across from the newsroom, a greasy spoon where reporters swapped rumors over eggs and whiskey shots. The place smelled of fried onions and stale beer, its jukebox stuck on Springsteen's greatest hits. Carla was a fixture there, her shadow a stain in the doorway, her laugh cutting through the din. We grabbed a booth, and over a plate of soggy fries and a shot of bourbon, she told me about the yard's history. Back in the 70s, workers went missing there. Track layers, hobos, even a cop in '78. Papers called it a serial killer, but they never found bodies. Just names scratched into the tunnel walls. Cops sealed it for a while, but kids keep breaking in. Every few years, someone vanishes and the whispers start again. She pulled out a yellowed clipping from 1979, tucked in her wallet like a talisman. The headline read, "Third Rail Yard Disappearance Baffles Police." The article mentioned a worker named Maria Delgado, last seen near the tunnel, her name found carved inside. "My first story," Carla said, her voice low. "I was 22, cocky, thought I'd crack it. Went to the tunnel, heard the whispers. Didn't go in, never wrote the piece." She stubbed out her cigarette, her hand shaking. "Something's in there, Elliot. Something that knows you." We got to the yard at twilight, the air colder than the night before, like winter had snuck in early. The hum was there, stronger, like a choir now, chanting words I couldn't make out. Carla heard it too. Her cigarette trembled as she lit another, her face pale under the streetlights. We found the tunnel, its entrance gaping like a wound, the graffiti brighter now, as if freshly painted. Inside, the air was damp, smelling of rust and something sour, like spoiled milk. Our flashlights cut through the dark, catching glints of metal and wet stone. We found Jay's hoodie, torn and damp, caught on a jagged rail. "No, Jay." The whispers turned to voices clear now. "Elliot, come, stay, join us." My recorder caught a scream mine, though I swear I didn't scream. Carla grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "Move," she hissed. We stumbled deeper, our beams sweeping the walls. They were covered in names, dozens, maybe hundreds, carved in jagged letters. Maria, Jacob, Tina, and fresher ones, still sharp. I saw Elliot, half finished, like someone had started carving it. The voices grew louder, overlapping, a cacophony of names and pleas. "Stay with us. Be with us." Shadows moved at the edge of our beams, small, childlike, but wrong. Their limbs too long, their heads tilted at angles that made my stomach lurch. One stepped into the light, its face a blur, like a photo smudged by rain. It whispered my name, and I felt a tug, like something pulling at my thoughts, trying to unravel me. Carla yanked me back, cursing, her lighter sparking as she dropped it. The shadow lunged, and I threw my recorder, hitting nothing but air. We ran, our footsteps echoing, the voices chasing us. "Elliot, don't leave. We know you." The tunnel seemed to stretch, the exit farther than it should have been, but we burst into the open, gasping under the streetlights. Carla's face was ashen, her hands shaking as she lit another cigarette. The bus ride back was silent, the city lights blurring past like ghosts. The paper spiked the story. Carla told me to drop it, her voice flat. "You say your name, they take it, they take you." I heard my name in '79, never said it out loud again. I moved apartments a month later, to a place across town with no view of streetlights. I bought a beat-up Honda, stopped taking the bus. But the whispers follow me. On late-night drives, when the radio cuts to static, I hear them, my name, over and over, from the back seat, the trunk, the road ahead. I keep salt packets in my glove box, a trick I read on some sketchy forum, though I don't know if it works. I avoid mirrors. Sometimes I see a shadow behind me, too small, too still. Last week, I was at a gas station, filling up my tank, when I saw a kid across the lot. Hoodie too big, eyes too bright. He smiled and whispered, "Elliot." I floored it, heart pounding, the hum rising in my ears. I checked the news archives later, found a pattern. Every few years, someone vanishes near the yard, 1978, 1985, 1993, 2004, 2016. No bodies, just names in the tunnel. I haven't gone back, but I dream of it. The tracks gleaming, the voices calling. My byline's on bigger stories now, but I don't write about the yard. Some stories aren't meant to be told. Some names aren't meant to be spoken. The tracks are still there, waiting. And I wonder if my name's carved deeper now, waiting for me to answer. Story 2, The Hollow Beneath the Park. I was 16 when we moved to the city, a Midwestern sprawl where the air carried the faint scent of asphalt and distant cornfields, and everyone seemed to know your business before you did. My dad lost his job at a Chicago steel plant, a casualty of automation, and we ended up in a duplex near Lincoln Park, a green expanse on the city's west side. The place was a hand-me-down peeling paint, creaky floors, and a kitchen that smelled of burnt toast no matter how clean we kept it. I didn't fit in here. My clothes were secondhand, my accent too flat for the locals, and my quiet nature marked me as an outsider. I rode a rusted Schwinn everywhere, its chain rattling like a warning, my only escape from the arguments that echoed through the duplex. My friends Sarah and Jamal were the only ones who didn't care I was a transplant. Sarah was the planner, a wiry girl with a notebook full of maps and a habit of tapping her pencil when she thought. Jamal was the joker, all laughs and quick wit, but he had a toughness in his eyes, a kid who'd seen too much too young. We'd hang out at Lincoln Park after school, a sprawling mess of trees, picnic tables, and a creek that gurgled like it was choking on secrets. Last summer, our friend Mikey disappeared. He was 15, a lanky kid with a mop of brown hair and a laugh that could fill a room. One day, he didn't show up at the park. The cops found his backpack by the creek, said he'd run away. We knew better. Kids whispered about the Hollow Man, a thing in the storm drain under the park that stole anyone who wandered too far. We decided to find him. It was a Saturday in July, the air thick with humidity that made my shirt cling like a second skin. The sun beat down, turning the park's grass into a brittle yellow carpet. We met by the creek, where dragonflies skimmed the murky water and the air buzzed with cicadas. The storm drain was a concrete maw behind a clump of willows, wide enough to walk single file, its mouth framed by graffiti. Turn back in red spray paint, he hears you in black. Sarah had a thermos of coffee she'd swiped from her mom. Jamal had a baseball bat he'd borrowed from his older brother. And I had a flashlight and a pocket knife I didn't know how to use. "Mikey's down there," Sarah said, her voice steady but her eyes nervous as she traced a map she'd drawn. Jamal cracked a joke about sewer alligators, but it fell flat, his grin fading as we stared into the dark. The drain smelled of moss and rot, the air cool and damp, like stepping into a fridge. Our footsteps echoed, too loud in the tight space, and the walls were slick with slime that glistened under our lights. Jamal swung his bat lightly, tapping the concrete, his jokes replaced by a low whistle. "This place is creepy as hell," he muttered, his voice bouncing off the walls. Sarah shushed him, her flashlight sweeping the sides, catching carvings, faces with open mouths, etched deep like screens frozen in stone. Some were old, weathered by water, others sharp and new, the edges still white. I saw Mikey scratch near the floor, the letters uneven, like they'd been carved in a hurry. My stomach twisted, but I didn't say anything, just gripped my knife tighter. We heard him first, Mikey's voice, faint, calling my name, "Lila, help." It came from deeper in, where the tunnel sloped down into blackness. Sarah gripped my arm, her nails biting into my skin. "That's him," she whispered, But it sounded wrong, too smooth, like a recording played back slow. Jamal shook his head. That ain't Mikey. But we pushed on, the air growing heavier, pressing on my chest like a weight. Our flashlights flickered, casting shadows that moved when they shouldn't, like figures just out of sight. The carvings multiplied, covering the walls, faces of kids, adults, mouths gaping, eyes wide. I saw my name Leela half-carved, the Lul jagged, and my breath caught. The tunnel opened into a cavern, bigger than it had any right to be, its ceiling lost in a haze of darkness. The floor was littered with glass jars, hundreds of them, glowing faintly with something inside, mists that swirled like trapped smoke, pulsing with faint sounds, cries, laughs, whispers. The air was thick, humid, and carried a metallic tang like blood diluted in water. Mikey's voice came again, louder, from the center, where a pool of black liquid shimmered like oil. We saw him, or something like him, standing by the pool. His face was wrong, eyes empty, like holes punched in paper. "Lila," it said, its mouth still, the voice echoing from the jars. Jamal swung the bat, but it passed through, the figure dissolving into mist, its laugh bouncing off the walls, high and hollow. Then we saw the hollow man. It was tall, skeletal, its skin gray and stretched tight over bones that jutted like knives. No eyes, just dark sockets, and a gaping mouth that hummed with stolen voices. It moved like a spider, jerky and wrong, its fingers long and twitching, tipped with claws that scraped the stone. "Stay with me," it said in Mikey's voice, then Sarah's, then mine. Each word a perfect mimicry that sent a shiver down my spine. Sarah screamed, a sharp, piercing sound, and the thing's mouth widened, sucking the noise from her throat. She collapsed, clutching her neck, her lips moving but no sound coming out. The jars glowed brighter, and I heard her scream, trapped in one, echoing with others, kids, adults, a chorus of stolen voices that filled the cavern. Jamal grabbed her, yelling, "Run!" I dropped my flashlight, the beam spinning wildly as we scrambled back through the tunnel. The hollow man followed, its hum filling the air, mimicking our voices. "Layla, Jamal, stay." The carvings seemed to move, mouths opening wider, and the jar's glow chased us, their voices pleading, accusing. My pocket knife fell, clattering against the concrete, and I didn't stop to grab it. The tunnel stretched, the exit a pinprick of light, but we burst into the sunlight, gasping, collapsing on the creek bank. Sarah was silent, her eyes wide with panic, her hands clawing at her throat. Jamal's face was gray, his back gone, left behind in the cavern. We dragged her to the Iya, a 20-minute bike ride with her, slumped between us. We said she'd choked on something, a lie that tasted bitter. The doctors found nothing wrong, no swelling, no damage, but she hasn't spoken since, her voice locked in that jar. We didn't tell anyone the truth. Jamal moved away that fall, his family relocating to Minneapolis, and we lost touch. I don't ride my bike near the park anymore. Sometimes in my room, I hear my name in the wind, or in the static of my headphones, soft and hollow, like it's coming from underwater. I checked the drain last week, alone, my heart pounding. The graffiti was gone, replaced with a new carving. Layla, mouth open, screaming, the lines fresh and deep. I found an old article in the library, buried in the 1923 archives, a sewer worker, Thomas Reed, vanished near the park, his tools found by the drain, his name carved inside. The paper called it a mystery, but kids stopped playing near the creek for months. The pattern repeats: 1935, 1949, 1967, 1984, names on the walls, kids gone. I wonder if Mikey's voice is in a jar now, or if he's something else, part of the Hollow Man, waiting for me to scream. The creek still gurgles, and the park feels alive, watching. Don't go near the drains. Don't scream. These legends are real. Story 3: The Night Janitor. I was 19, working nights as a janitor at Jefferson High, a century-old brick monster hulking on the east side of a Midwestern city. The job was a means to an end saving for community college, dreaming of a degree that'd get me out of pushing mops and scrubbing toilets. The pay was decent, $12 an hour, enough to cover rent on a basement apartment that smelled of damp concrete and keep my beat-up laptop running for online classes. I needed the money bad. My mom had been laid off from the factory last year, and my dad's disability checks barely covered groceries. Jefferson High was my ticket out, or so I told myself. The school was a relic, its hallways lined with lockers that creaked when you opened them, its windows fogged with decades of grime. Built in 1925, it had survived fires, floods, and budget cuts, its bones groaning under the weight of history. During the day, it buzzed with kids, laughing, shouting, slamming doors, but at night, it was a different beast. My shift started at 10 p.m., pushing a cart loaded with mops, bleach, and rags through empty corridors. The fluorescents flickered like dying stars, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. The boiler room hummed a constant low drone, a sound that seeped into my bones after a few weeks. I'd blast Nirvana through my earbuds to drown it out, Kurt Cobain's growl a lifeline against the silence. Ray, my co-worker, was a grizzled guy in his 50s with a limp from a construction accident years back. He'd been cleaning Jefferson for 20 years, his hands calloused and his stories endless. He'd lean on his mop during breaks, sipping black coffee from a thermos, and spin tales about the school's past fires in the 50s, kids jumping from the roof in the 80s, a janitor who vanished in 58. "This place has bad bones," he'd say, his voice rough as sandpaper. One night, over a cigarette break by the loading dock, he told me about the Night Janitor, a ghost story the kids passed around. They say he cleans up after kids who stay too late, but he don't just mop floors. He takes pieces of your memories, skin, whatever's messy. I laughed it off, figuring it was Ray's way of messing with the new guy. I didn't believe in ghosts, not then. The routine was simple. Empty trash, wipe desks, scrub graffiti off lockers. The kids were vandals tags like "fuck this place" and "die teacher" in red marker, crude drawings of skulls and middle fingers. I'd hum along to my music, the monotony a comfort. But one night, past midnight, something changed. I was in the science wing, scrubbing a locker where some punk had scrawled 666 in black paint, the air colder than it should have been. My earbuds cut out mid-chorus, replaced by a low hum, like the boiler room had a voice. It formed words, slow and deliberate. Messy, messy. I yanked out my earbuds, heart kicking up, and scanned the hall. Empty. The hum grew louder, and I heard footsteps slow, deliberate, like boots on tile. "Ray?" I called, my voice echoing. No answer. I followed the sound to room 214, a chemistry classroom, its door ajar when it should have been locked. Wet footprints led inside, smelling of bleach and something metallic, like old blood. The room was dark, my flashlight catching a chalkboard covered in scribbles, names, dates, a roster of the missing. Jenny, 1982. Marcus, 1999. Sam, 2025. My name. My year. My breath caught, and the hum turned to a whisper. "You made a mess." The air thickened, pressing on my chest, and my mop handle felt heavy, like it was stuck in tar. Then I saw it, the night janitor. It stood by the teacher's desk, a figure in a gray uniform, patched and stained. Its face a blank void, no eyes, no mouth, just smooth skin where a face should have been. Its mop dripped black liquid, pooling on the floor, and when it brushed my hand, my fingers tingled, then went numb, like they'd been dipped in ice. I dropped the mop and bolted, my cart clattering behind me, bleach bottles rolling. The footsteps followed, slow but relentless. The hum now a chant. "Clean it up, Sam." I ran to the break room, a cramped space with a sagging couch and a coffee maker that hadn't worked since June. I shoved a table against the door, my breath ragged, my hand throbbing. The hum stopped, but my fingers were wrong, two of them, index and middle, gray like ash, no feeling in them. I stayed there until dawn, the fluorescence buzzing, my flashlight flickering. Ray found me in the morning, his face pale. "You saw it," he said, not a question. He didn't ask about my hand, just handed me a coffee and muttered, "Quit while you can." I kept working. I needed the money, and I told myself it was a fluke, a trick of the light, maybe carbon monoxide from the boiler. But things got worse. I forgot my mom's birthday, August 14th, a date I'd known since I was 6. Then I couldn't recall her middle name, Marie, a gap where it used to be. The night janitor appeared again, 2 weeks later, in the boiler room. I'd gone to check a leak, the hum louder there, a furnace's heartbeat. It stood by the pipes, its uniform wet, its mop dripping. The bucket glowed faintly, like it held light instead of water. It touched my shoe, and the toe dissolved. My memory of my first day on the job, spilling bleach on Ray's boots, his laugh gone with it. I stumbled back, spilling a bottle of bleach, the fumes burning my eyes. The thing paused, tilting its head, then retreated into the shadows, the hum fading. Messy, Sam, messy. I quit the next day, called the supervisor and lied about a family emergency. Ray had already left, no forwarding address, his locker cleaned out. I moved across town to a basement apartment near the river, a place with no windows and a landlord who didn't ask questions. I stopped cleaning, dishes piled up, my clothes stayed dirty, but I couldn't risk making a mess. My hands stayed gray, the fingers stiff, and the gaps in my memory grew. I forgot my sister's laugh, a high giggle I used to mimic. I forgot my dad's favorite song, Sweet Home Alabama, which he'd hum while fixing the car. I'd wake up sweating, the hum in my ears, my dreams filled with a faceless figure mopping my past away. I saw it sometimes a shadow in doorways, mopping, always mopping. Once, at a gas station late at night, I caught a glimpse in the reflection of the window, its blank face watching as I pumped gas. I moved again, to a friend's couch, but it followed. I found a 1958 article in the library, tucked in the microfiche. A school fire killed a janitor, Harold Grayson, his body never found, his tools left in the boiler room. The article mentioned kids claiming they saw a faceless man cleaning after hours. Jefferson High kept operating, and kids kept vanishing. 1982, 1999. 2015 names on a chalkboard, no one erased. Last night, I woke to the hum, louder than ever, coming from under my bed. I found a mop handle there, dripping black, the wood splintered. I threw it out, but the sound stayed, whispering my name. I don't know what it wants, my past, my body, my soul. I don't clean anymore. I don't stay late. But the cracks are spreading. My reflection in the bathroom mirror shows a face I don't recognize. Gray fingers multiplying. The night janitor is real, and it's not done with me. Don't ignore the legends. Don't stay after dark. The legends live on. We've survived 3 Midwest nightmares, but the legends live on. The whispering tracks, the hollow beneath the park, the Night Janitor, they're not just stories. These tales remind us that the places we know, the train yards, parks, schools, can hide horrors that know our names, steal our voices, erase our pasts. They've happened, and they could happen again. Have you encountered a legend like this? Share your story in the comments, I dare you. And if you made it through, smash that like button and subscribe for more chills. Check out our playlist for more true horror, and stay vigilant. The nightmares are out there, waiting. Thanks for watching. Until next time, don't ignore the dark.